Andrew T says, "Love your videos. You're the hippest hipster around." Thanks. Happy Monday morning to you all. It is 20 degrees here. 20 degrees. So there's a rich neighborhood right next to my neighborhood, and 25. Whoa, whoo, a steamy 25 degrees. Now I can't get back to my tab there. Okay, my phone is clipped to the top of my laptop, so I can't really see what I'm doing. Yeah, there's a rich neighborhood over there, and somebody in that rich neighborhood has a weather station that reports to Weather Underground, so I can usually get pretty accurate temperature readings. They're calling for freezing rain, so that ought to be fun. This is the video in which I answer all the questions that you posed to me in the previous videos comment sections when I said ask Gribbs anything. I invited you to ask me anything personal, metaphysical, practical, whatever. Let's go. Dhix, D-H-I-X, asks, to what extent did you play music in local bands, stage work, or for your own personal satisfaction? Well, Dhix, I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry. Dhix. Anyway, I played in a little tiny band, and we didn't really do very much. We played out a few times, we recorded a demo, and the demo was pretty damn good, but, it just never went anywhere, mostly because we didn't have any motivation, and mostly that was my fault. And I really regret it now, although, to add to that experience, I did work in a local musical instrument retailer for 10 years. And let me tell you, the things I saw there really killed the dream for me. It was the kind of thing where when I started working there, I was like, yes, I'm just going to be doing this part-time until I make it big, with rock and roll. And then by the end of that stint, I was like, God, I'm so glad I did not go into a career playing music, because it's just unbelievably hard work. And 99% of people that do it end up with nothing to show for it. Zombie Nation says, if you had to choose between self-circumcision and smoking a tin of Elizabethan mixture, which would you choose? The whole tin? So funny you should ask this, because I have a son. When you have a son, you have to make a decision about circumcision, right? And, for yourself, the decision was made way back in the day, and unless you have some sort of medical condition. I don't know why I'm explaining circumcision. Anyway, I did some research on circumcision. And as part of that research, I found a video here on YouTube that I thought was just going to be someone yakking about their opinion one way or another on circumcision. No, it was a video of an adult male being circumcised, and even then I'd still take that over Elizabethan mixture. Matthew Gilman says, do you find crack pipes to be as artistic as tobacco pipes? I am woefully sheltered in that I couldn't tell you what a crack pipe really looks like, except aren't they made out of spark plugs or something like that? So I guess I don't find the pipes themselves to be as respectable as tobacco pipes, but it seems like the ingenuity of crackheads has a little, there's some merit there. Matthew Gilman also asks, as a graphic artist, how do you feel about the Prince Albert as an artistic piece? Apparently you guys are obsessed. So I actually recorded a video in which I did try the Prince Albert, and maybe you should check that out. I'll put a link in the description below. Law and Smoke asks, would you be Indiana Jones if you could? I'm offended that you would even have to ask. Listen, actually, the way I look at it, right, I pretty much am Indiana Jones. And if you would like to be Indiana Jones, would you have abandoned the quest for the Holy Grail and run off with the hot Austrian girl? No, I wouldn't, because she was a Nazi. She was hot, but she was still a Nazi. Now, Marion Ravenwood in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that's a whole different story. Like, the Nazis, they wouldn't have even, I mean, the Ark would have just melted their faces off anyway. What was the whole point of it? It was a total MacGuffin, right? All they had to do was keep their eyes closed, and Indiana Jones and Marion Ravenwood were fine, right? But all the Nazis, their faces melted. Yeah, I would have totally run off with Marion Ravenwood. Derek Tant asks, what is the secret to arm wrestling? Well, Darren, you gotta have some guns. As a fellow conspiracy theorist, the Byru Guru asks, what is your favorite topic? Not talking about silly flat earthers, but really interesting things, Operation Northwoods or JFK type stuff. So, to give you a short, there is no short answer. My favorite topic, of course, is aliens. I think that it all comes down to wanting to be Fox Mulder, right? And if I were Fox Mulder, I would definitely have run off with Scully. But the thing is, I don't think aliens are the aliens we think the aliens are. I think there was a researcher named Jonathan, or John, maybe just John Keel, Keel. He wrote the Mothman prophecies, and we've all seen the silly Richard Gere movie that they turned that book into, and that's a really big damn shame, because it's, I won't call it scholarly, but it's a pretty in-depth documentary style account of the events that happened in that movie and Keel's theories on them. And I think there's something deeper to the UFO phenomenon. I won't say I believe in any of this shit, but I will say that the human capacity for paranoia can't be just a byproduct of our evolution. Like, I've had that thought before, is like, human beings, we got where we are because we really like making order out of things. And so sometimes we try to make order out of things that, well, there really isn't an order there. But there's too much. There's too much with the UFO thing. For the recent news, and I asked Iron Rails and Pipe Dreams about this, and maybe he'll chime in the comments. The recent news is that the Pentagon there's still like a black money budget for studying UFOs. In 2017, this is still happening, and like some Pentagon employees off the clock are pursuing their interest in UFOs. If there's anyone in the world that knows the truth, it's people that work in the Pentagon, and if they're still interested, I'm still interested. David 35445 asks, is that a Gibson or an Epiphone? David, neither. It's my Ibanez Art Star from 2002. There's a fun story with this guitar. The way you can tell the Art Stars... Did we just lose power? I think we just lost power. We just lost power. All right. Freezing rain coming in. The way you can tell the Art Stars... Excuse me. The way that you can tell the Art Stars from the Gibsons, the inferior Gibsons and Epiphones, is that they have pointier horns. Right here, see that little point? It's very subtle, but if you look at a Gibson or Epiphone, it's a very rounded horn. And that's one of the reasons that they're inferior. Round horns. Horns are supposed to be pointy. Didn't they ever look at a rhino when they were designing the guitars? Anyway, sorry, more coffee. We're getting a little off track here. Anyway, fun story. When I was buying my first real guitar, I really wanted a Telecaster. And that's what I ended up getting. But I played this guitar, I played this model, and I was really torn between the two. So a year later, I saved up a little more money, and I decided I would try to find one of these used online, and I did. It's the first guitar I ever bought online. Might be the only guitar I ever bought online. And I wanted something that would complement the Telecaster, and it does, because it's got the double humbuckers. This model, you can't get these anymore. Or you can, but I think you have to pay quite a premium for them. It has the custom, or the Super 58s, not the custom 58s, the Super 58 pickups. And they are phenomenal. I would put this guitar up against any Gibson or Epiphone anywhere. In both fit and finish, sound, playability, all the metrics. I love this guitar. And if I If I were stranded on a desert island with one guitar and one amp, it would be this guitar and my amp that you saw in there, which is an Ampeg Reverberocket. Happy to talk about this more. Anyway, the fun story with this guitar, just for the purposes of this video, is that I sold it when we bought this house, and we were really strapped for cash, and I thought, you know, I'm going to get down to just my Telecaster. And a year later, I sold the Telecaster. It was an American Tele. After a couple of years went by, I missed this guitar so much that I tracked the guy down. And I said, hey man, I really want to buy that guitar back if you ever want to sell it. He said, sorry, I already sold it. So I tracked that guy down. And I went through this months-long process of being like, hey, if you ever want to get rid of that guitar, I'm your guy. Back and forth, back and forth. He didn't want to sell, and finally he came upon some hard times, and I was the beneficiary. When the gas main exploded out there, and I had like 5 seconds to choose what I wanted from the house. This was before I had a kid. This is what I took. And I personally draw a lot of life lessons from the fact that I worked in a music store for 10 years, and it wasn't until I got out of the music store that I really got settled in how I want to play music and the gear that I wanted to use. If you guys want to hear it, let me know, because that's a whole nother story. John Galdieri, which sounds suspiciously like Galtieri, which is Paulie from The Sopranos. Paulie's brother wants to ask Gribbly, what are the books you know of that involve pipe smoking? You already mentioned Sherlock Holmes, which of course is like the, you know, I'm kind of, the Sherlock Holmes thing is kind of kitschy for pipe smokers. You know, I feel like it's like Santa Claus and the North Pole. It's like, oh, you smoke a pipe, well, you must live at the North Pole. Failed analogy. But actually, in the Night Before Christmas, the poem, I believe Santa Claus does smoke a pipe. So there's one. You know, let me think about this. Maybe there's like a good Cormac McCarthy book. Obviously, the Mark Twain books, which he also mentions. Maybe Remains of the Day. Does someone smoke a pipe in Remains of the Day? I don't know, but that's a great book. You should read it. Man, I'm drawing a blank. What? Let's open this up to the fora. Let's get Paulie's brother some help here. What books feature pipe smoking? Jake Nelson asks our last question. How did you get taller than your hair? How did you get taller than Prince Albert? What a fun video this has been to make. Thank you guys for all of your questions. Tongue-in-cheek though they may have been. Let me know if this is something you would like to continue. I feel like there are still unanswered questions hanging out there, but I don't want to belabor the point. If that's not something you're interested in, let me know down in the comments. Should we start the Ask Gribbs institution here as an ongoing thing? Thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that